gentlemen, we are live. Happy Monday to you all. This is another live edition of Steve's Kitchen here on the Around the Point Network. It is Monday, March the 10th, 2025. As always, guys, thank you all for tuning in. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button down below. Give this a big old thumbs up and share with all your friends. This is also your Revolution, AEW Revolution 2025 recap. I hope you all are having a wonderful start to your week and all that stuff. As always, I am Steve, and it's Chase, live from the Staples Center. What's going on, brother?
Center, yes, from my beautiful apartment that oversees the Staples Center at night. Somehow, it's just wonderful. Doing good, Steve.
View, wonderful view, brother. Wonderful view. I hope everything's going well, everybody out there. And yeah, man, Revolution, brother. It has come and it has come and is now over with. A lot to. It's a mixed bag, right? Like a lot of good stuff on the show, and then there was that main event.
Yeah, I feel the pay-per-view delivered and what you expect from AEW match quality wise. Like you got a lot of really great matches on the card, but I don't know, that main event was really like a turn off, and it was such an off-putting type of main event. It just didn't match the style that Revolution was kind of pacing to be, like which would have been a really great pay-per-view. That main event made that great pay-per-view into a just good pay-per-view, and that's how bad that main event was, just based off. Yeah, it just wasn't overall good, like a good main event. Like the rest of the show was great. You know, there's some matches that you could have argued could have gotten less time, some matches that didn't need to be on the show at all. People have been debating back and forth about what should have main evented, you know, like, oh, he should have went with the Hollywood ending, which I'm in agreement now, because, you know, it is called the Hollywood ending. And I appreciate Mariah May and Tony Storm. They were able to have a really good match in such the allotted time that they were given. And sometimes that's way more impressive than going out there to prove that you can wrestle a 20-minute, 30-minute style match. Both those women went out there and killed it. I know I can understand why it probably wasn't the main event, because, you know, a lot of wrestling fans, especially wrestling Twitter, they're not big on death matches. So it could have been something where maybe he was trying to avoid the backlash of like people talking about the death match and stuff. And so that's why he kind of put
violent and all that stuff.
Yeah, get that too violent, you know, the people that whine about wrestling being too violent. So I can understand it. I just don't agree with it. And putting on a slow burn WWE style main event when you're trying to present yourself as a totally alternative to WWE, it just didn't work out. Like Cope versus Mox felt like that good. Like if this was in the mid card, I would have been like, yeah, it was bad, but at least it was in the middle of the card, and I can just always skip it when I go rewatch this pay-per-view. But this was the main event. This is the culmination. This is your world title picture. And I feel that's one of the issues with AEW now, is that their world title picture is hurting really, really bad with Mox as champ. Like, and I feel like if your world title picture isn't good, it does hurt the overall aesthetic and aspect of the company, because a lot of fans, you know, look at the world title, especially when you label yourself, we're the best wrestle, and Moxley's your world champion. And I if you ask most of the diehard AEW fans, they would not even consider Moxley one of the best on the roster right now. So yeah, rough main event. It was, and Adam Copeland doing what he does best, politicking, making sure he didn't eat the pinfall. Good on you, Cope.
I agree. Like, again, everything was going good, right? To me, looking at what we saw last night, right? Couple things I would have adjusted on the card. Couple matches I probably would have removed. But I do feel like, again, like you said, Timeless Tony Storm and Mariah May should have been the main event, considering, it's the Hollywood ending. You're in LA. And also let's factor into it's Women's International Month, right?
Yeah.
So play off that too, and for whatever reason they chose to go with Mox and Cope. I get it; it's the world title again, and also it's also factor into their format has changed, right? They don't go to these major buildings on a weekly basis anymore. They go to these smaller venues, And they probably thought, okay, you know what? Let's close the show with our two big names that we have on the roster. In this case, Mox and Cope. I let them go out there, and it just did not. No, it just wasn't it. It was not it at all. No one in the building gave a flying fuck. And people will say to, oh, how can you blame them when they just saw Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, they saw Mariah May and Tony Storm and stuff like that. I get that too, but it's like still people were tired. Oh, but bro, this is the West Coast. You're in California.
And also the AEW fans, I like they get too tired. The debate they bring up, it's like, no, like they like this is the action they want. So like you got to keep giving them the action they want, so that way they have a reason to keep cheering. Like they'll find a way. Like look at Kenny Omega Takeshita. That match started mad slow, and then it started to pick up, and it was really really good at the end. Like it's not that the AEW fans don't want a slow paced match. You got to wrestle within the style that your company is trying to represent. It's like, and Mox and Cope went out there and they said, we'll wrestle a WWE style main event. And it didn't work for what you're trying to represent. Like I talked about this like a long time ago with TNA. One of the reasons why I love early TNA was that the X division gave you the good in-ring work. The tag team division gave you good tag team matches. And then the main event scene was filled with those WWE style guys. But the theme was, it was consistent. Like you knew when you were watching old school TNA, it was consistent of the message. Like you knew what you were going to get out of the X division. You knew what you were getting out of the main event scene. You knew what you're getting out of the tag team division. With AEW, the consistency is we need good wrestling matches. That's the consistency AEW presents. And when you go out there and you have 3 really great matches back to back to back, and all those 3 matches had the crowd actually going crazy, you can't say they were tired for the main event, because they probably would have gone crazy for the main event if it was a good match. The match just wasn't good. We can't make excuses. Like the match just wasn't good. Like the match was horrible. Mox and Edge decided to go out there and wrestle a mid-90s main event level style match that didn't even fit with the story that was being told on AEW television. Like, yes, in the beginning portion of the Mox and Edge feud, they focused on Cope's neck. Like they focused on his neck and everything of that nature. But then it started with Cope. He realized that the reason why Mox is so powerful is because he has the Death Riders and he can always rely on them to help him during the title matches. So Mox should have been playing a chicken shit heel in this match, trying to find ways to avoid Cope, who now has the advantage. But instead, they decided to tell the story of Cope's neck being the target of Mox, and Mox was controlling the match. And then Cope was trying to play an underdog, trying to overcome this brute in Moxley. And it's like, dude, didn't you just get rid of all the Death Riders? How are you an underdog in this? You killed a whole faction up until Revolution. Like, how are you supposed to be an underdog in this situation? I don't get it. Like the story just makes no sense of the match that you're trying to tell. This should have been Mox taking his time to the ring, Cope's getting tired of it, boom, walking brawl throughout the arena, do some stuff before the match and whatnot. And then Mox finally finds a way to trip Edge up, or he catches Edge on the stairs, and then he attacks the neck. And then he could have done that next stuff. And then it would have made sense. But instead, Cope had to get his theme music in. Mox goes into the ring, and they just trade forearms for like a minute and a half. And the crowd wasn't reacting because they were moving at a snail's pace doing this. There was no aggressiveness. They weren't stomping the ring. They're just going,
in their mind, they're like, oh, but these fans, they love the forearms. They love that stuff. They watch New Japan, and yeah, no pop, nothing was. They were just sitting there like this. You might have heard some golf claps, like
yeah,
and
yeah, because I get the match that they were trying to tell. I get the story. They were trying their best to tell the story that Mox is beating up Cope so bad that Cope has no power behind any of his punches. He has no power in doing anything. But it didn't fit with what you were telling on weekly television.
Oh, it did not at all. Did not at all. And I know a lot of people were also speculating too. Oh, this is the night that Mox drops that title, right? They're gonna have Christian Cage come out, and they did. And they literally made some, again, one of the most cooler acts on the show, right? People were enjoying the patriarchy and all that stuff, right? And they made him into the biggest idiot. They made him to a fucking idiot by cashing in his contract, which, by the way, he had to first sign the contract because obviously, yes, he won the gauntlet at All In. It's an open contract, and people were expecting Jay White, which he did show up as well, right? He did show up to fight off Wheeler Yuta, and that was it. Oh, have him be the one who signed the contract. We get a new champion. And there were moments where it was like, yo, why would Christian Cage cash in and make this a three-way?
Mm-hmm.
Why would he do that?
Yeah, Christian, one of the more calculated characters on AEW TV, putting himself in a position that wouldn't get him to win the match. That makes no sense. Like Christian has been the guy that has been like so smart during his time on AEW television, and he decides to pull like a dumb move, making it a triple threat. Like what? Like, and it's not like Mox is completely out of the match. Like, I would get if Mox went through like a flaming table or something, and then Christian tries to cash in. But Mox just took like 4 spears. Like, that's not gonna kill him. Like, you know this. Like,
no, it was not. It's like then it all sunk in. He's there to eat the fucking pin, bro. Because, like you said, yeah, take the loss, eat that pin, brother. Enjoy that pinfall loss. Because Cope Hogan is like, nope, that don't work for me, brother. I'm not taking the pin.
Gotta keep Cope strong, man. He's the future.
He's the future. That young lion, bro. That young lion. You know what's crazy, bro? Like, it's been a rough weekend, right? Been a rough weekend. First, Alex Pereira loses to Ankalaev.
Oh.
And you're like, you know what? Maybe Revolution will cheer us up, right? Will cheer us up. And you know what it was? Tony Khan saw the fight on Saturday. I can replicate this. Mox and Cope. There you go.
Yeah, disappointing main events. Both those fights.
Both main, yeah. And then, yeah, Mox wins, which, you know, nobody wanted because let's be honest, the Death Rider story sucks. It's killing anything that AEW has right now. It's pushing people away. People away.
It's definitely one of the angles that people are not excited for. Like the things people are excited for, and it just sucks because other people are going to get sucked in, and they're going to try to convince themselves, and it's going to hurt them even more whenever the flavor of the week faces Mox for the world title. They're going to be like, "Oh, Swerve's going to win the world title."
You think Swerve's winning?
No. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is they're going to keep saying these wrestlers are going to win the world title because they don't want Mox as champion no more. And the problem is that's not the plan. Like you just gotta realize that he has a plan, and it's up to him if he wants to pivot from said plan. But you know, this is what happens when Mox does all these favors. He built up enough favors to tell the story he wants to tell, and Tony Khan's letting him. You know, like this is like when everyone said, "Oh, John Moxley deserves whatever he wants." Well, Tony Khan's giving John Moxley whatever he wants. He controls all this. This is John Moxley's decision. This is what John Moxley wants to do. This is what John Moxley thinks is good. And yeah, I understand it. But the problem is the execution is just horrible.
Exactly. And again, look, no one's taking away the fact that John Moxley got AEW out of so many pickles throughout the years. When in doubt, when there's an issue, call Moxley. He'll get us out of this. And he has, for the most part, he has. But now, like, bro, are we really waiting for Darby Allin to be the one? And again, do you want me to really sit here and believe that Swerve is winning at Dynasty or whenever the match is? Like, I don't think he's doing it. I don't think Swerve is winning. You know, but outside of that, like, look, I don't want the main event to take away from the rest of the show because again, I thought the rest of the show was enjoyable for the most part. You know, it's like everything, then there's a main event. Like, if you haven't watched the show, if you want to laugh and get a humor, yeah, watch the main event. for
Yeah,
the ending.
the main event is like, then that's the problem, because that's the thing that's being talked about more than a lot of the action on the show is how bad this main event was. So that's the clips that are being shared around social media. So it's giving all the people who are AEW detractors just more ammo at AEW, because and the thing is, it's not like this is just like a middle of the card program. So it's like the word it's like bad. This is more of like, no, this is like your world title scene. It's not at the middle of the card. This is your world title scene. This is like the most important belt that your company has, and you're and you're really much like making it, you're self-sabotaging it, and it's not good. It's just not good whatsoever. But
No,
yeah, no,
no bueno.
the rest of the rest of the show was really good. You know, you had Osprey and Fletcher. Although I didn't particularly love the match like most people would. Thought it was a good cage match with a lot of cool high spots. Omega and Takeshita was wonderful.
It was
Mariah May and Tony Storm, fantastic match of the year
chef's kiss.
candidate.
It's on the list.
Like,
It's on the fucking
yeah.
list.
Oh yeah, it's a match of the year. That was great. Those two women went out there and killed it.
You know what's crazy about
Okada
that?
woke up. You know, he had a solid match with Brody Keene. And MJF and Hangman and Ricochet and Swerve for the beginning portion of the show was good. But the other matches on the card, like Mercedes and Momo,
Did not need to be on the show. Did not need to be on the show at all for my liking.
Look,
go on. I'm sorry.
No, that match, it's like when people called that one like a great banger, like when people said that was a great match, I'm just like, oh my god, like we are just. I get it, Mercedes. I know Mercedes can wrestle. I'm not saying the match was horrible. That was not a pay-per-view level match. Like if you pay $50, it wasn't that much of a great match. Mercedes did not, as a ring general, did not do Momo any favors in making people believe that Momo had a chance to win. And it's a match where, like, look, when Mercedes faces someone on pay-per-view, you have to give her someone that people can believe that can beat her. This match with Momo Watanabe, this is collision. This is a dynamite, because you'll get your good Mercedes match, but then also, like, you can build up to something else. This was just, yeah, this just did not need it to be needed on the card.
I said this on the watch along on Truly that we did yesterday with Romeo. If you have not checked that out, go give it a watch. Watch us react and all that stuff. I understand now, because you did bring it up that Momo Watanabe did win a fatal 4-way at Wrestle Dynasty. It was right, Tokyo Dome, to earn a shot at any title. I guess it was right of her choosing, and she chose the TBS title. Of course, you want to wrestle Mercedes Moné. I get that, but at the same time, like you said, this should have been, Dynamite, Collision, right? At the same time, it's like, wait a minute, you got women on the roster that are just chilling, not doing anything, being relegated to Ring of Honor TV, Collision here and there, you barely see. But we had to bring in Momo Watanabe. And again, I'm not someone that watches Stardom, right? Let me be clear on that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, I'm this expert of Momo Watanabe, how good she is. I'm sure she was all right in the ring for the most part. I did hear that she got like a little injury near the end of the match. But it's like, we couldn't use someone like Deonna Purrazzo, someone like a Taya Valkyrie in the spot to wrestle Mercedes Moné.
This should have been a Harley Cameron rematch spot instead of like using Momo on the pay-per-view. Like, I'm fine if they want to use Momo Watanabe. That's not the issue. The issue is on pay-per-view, the pay-per-view matches, like if you have like showcase matches, that's totally fine if you want to do that. But the showcase matches shouldn't be for a title. Showcase matches are supposed to be things that, like, you're like, oh, we're going to showcase this talent. They're going to wrestle a really good match. Awesome. But when you have a title match that with title implications, which is an important thing, you don't use your belt for showcase matches. And especially when you know the champion is not going to lose this said title to said competitor. Like, it just makes the match not that interesting. And like, yeah, if they go out there and they do a bunch of cool moves and that entertain you, that's good. But then the problem is you set up the precedent that, hey man, like, title matches, they can just be, they're not that important. Like, that's how you set up that precedent. Like, that's how you're setting up that precedent. Like, that the title matches, like, can just be whatever throwaway matches, which no, this is a prestigious belt that you're trying to get over. That belt should mean a lot to these competitors, and there should be a good story tied into it. That's how you get that's how you elevate the title and stuff. And Mercedes, her name, yes, helps elevate the TBS title, but it's not enough. It really is not enough for that belt. Like, you got to do a lot more. And I thought they were doing good stuff with Harley Cameron, and it turns out that they just want to keep it where it's like whatever makes Mercedes happy. That's how it feels like with this belt. Whatever makes Mercedes happy.
Yeah. Exactly. Mercedes Hogan as well. Just like Cope Hogan, there's also Mercedes Hogan. Politicking away. But outside of that, I mean, there was some good stuff on the show, like we just mentioned too. We did mention, again, Adam Page and MJF. They went out there for almost 20 minutes. I'm surprised MJF did not break his neck off of that.
The Angels wins.
Yeah, the Angels wins. I'm surprised because if you noticed, like, he moved his head when he landed. He moved his head to like the side, which again, I've never taken a bump like that. I'm not a wrestler, but I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to move your head that way. I'm pretty sure, and again, big up to those two guys. I think the last time they wrestled was in 2019. And honestly, this, you can run it back. Run it back. Some would say dynasty, which is fine too, but later on down the road. But for the most part, I thought it was a very good, exciting match where they, again, were even on the outside. There was that spot on the chair on the outside as well. What's up, gang? Revolution was a fun watch. Surprised Mox did not bleed. Chief, surprised too. Sky Blue is still injured. Yeah, I heard that she's not going to be back. It's going to be even longer. What's going on, Jagan? Hope all is well with you as well.
Do you think Jay White wishes that WWE could have signed him? Like, I think that Jay White is the first person we could say
regrets it.
No, not regrets it. We can say, and I think people would agree, even the people that hate WWE, I think we could all say Jay White would have been better off in the Fed. Like, if this is what he's doing, like, Jay White, he's probably having one of the worst AEW runs for a free agent that has come over. Like, from a free agent that has signed to AEW, who's had it worse than Jay White? I mean, I guess you could say Miro and all those guys, but I feel Jay White, his run has just been like, because Jay White was coming hot as like a top main event act from New Japan Pro Wrestling. You thought for sure, no matter where he was going to go, he was going to succeed. And what? He just has like the trios titles, right? Like, that's all.
Trios title. He did wrestle, to be fair. He did have that world title match against MJF at the Forum.
Which people are saying one of the worst main events before this main event happened. Yeah. And also one of the worst storylines that he was a part of.
That too.
Jay White has not been in a memorable, good storyline in AEW. Like, this guy has been his best storyline. He's also in the worst match. He's the worst match with Billy Gunn. People say that's one of the worst AEW matches of all time. Jay White versus Billy Gunn. Like, oh man, like Jay White's AEW run, it's bad. It's a really bad run, and I feel like there's a part of people, like, they would say, yeah, he would have been better off in the Fed. Like, at least in the Fed, he's probably a.
They might not want to admit it though. They might not want to admit it. Like,
I think you should admit it, because it's just like, for a big time free agent, I feel like this is like who are the contenders? Who are the contenders for the big time free agents? Like it's Miro, Andrade, Jay White, Keith Lee. But like, Jay White's still being featured. He's just being featured bad. That's why I feel like Jay White's the worst, because they're featuring him, but they feature him like such a doofus.
Yeah, like, I think also factor in, like, when he was in Japan, like, granted, they don't do weekly TV out there. It's like on a monthly base. So that kind of like protected him in a way. Now that you bring him here, like, you're in the States, you're wrestling you're in a company that's live TV every single week. And yeah, like we said, like, there was promise, there was hope. And it's like, he's just another guy on the roster, another person, and I remember the hype when he signed, oh, he's gonna be a game changer. Oh, y'all wait and see, future world champion, the Switchblade and all that stuff. And let's hope for at Forbidden Door we get Bullet Club Gold versus Bullet Club War Dogs and stuff like that. And no, nothing at all. Like last night would have been the good night to have him be the one to sign that contract, turn on Cope when the match is over, right? And he's a world champion.
Yep. Would have jump started something. Match order was ass. Fletcher and Ospreay should have switched spots with MJF Hangman. Too much blood altogether in a couple matches, too close to each other. Yeah, the Aussies and the Brits were bleeding. That's another thing. The structure of the show was not the best either. TK needs to structure shows better. We basically had 2 hardcore matches back to back. I was done by the time the cage match started. Yagan King asks, which had a bigger decline, the MCU or UFC? Well, UFC is still making money, so it's the MCU. Yeah. I mean, UFC, like, interest, star power wise. Right now. Yeah, it's star power wise, they're bad, but you know, MCU, most of their movies are not like hitting like they used to, and especially with the amount of budget that goes into them. So, like the fact that box office is down, UFC still draws money, like always, like good gates. Even though cards are poor, they're still selling out arenas. I mean, they sold out Seattle with Henry Cejudo and Sonya Dawn. Like, you as a consumer Dragon King can say, "Oh, it's not good."
That's an apex. That's an apex fight.
But you as a consumer can say it's not good. It's bad. Oh, there's no stars. There's no this. There's no that. Like you tell me in my DMs, and I get what you're saying. But what I'm trying to say to you is, business wise, they're still making money. I always tell people this: you can say something's bad, but if they're still drawing good cards and drawing good money, that doesn't matter at the end of the day, because they're still selling out arenas whenever they go. UFC still breaking gate records wherever they go. They're making profit. So at the end of the day, we can't say UFC's on a decline. Are they on a decline in terms of interest in the product and interest in stars? Yes, they are on a decline on that end. But when it comes to actual like success in business, they're still making profit. They're about to sign a big time media rights deal. Like, and we're gonna say UFC's on a decline. How can we say that? How can we say that's a decline? Marvel, they've had to do a bunch of cuts. They've had to do a bunch of things. They had to cut a bunch for this Captain America movie that recently came out because they didn't think it would be an interesting movie. Yeah, Fantastic Four will do well. X-Men will do well. Like Fantastic Four, the thing is, there's a lot of fans for it, but like there's a lot of trust issues with it because the last 3 movies that have come out for it have not been good. The first one was passable. Second one was a disappointment, and Fantastic was horrible. X-Men always does well in the box office. It just does well. So yeah, box office is a little bit different, but yeah, I can't say that UFC's on a decline. They're about to sign a great media rights deal, and they're going to make a shit ton of money off of it. So
word. It also factor into, you know, it's under the TKO umbrella, and Dana White about to get into boxing real soon. So
yeah.
Keep an eye on
it's pretty much just Riyadh season. It's just TKO's doing all the dirty work for Turkey. Turkey's tired of talking to these undercard guys. He's like, you guys do it. I'll secure your main events. I think Canelo and Crawford might be the first fight under the TKO umbrella.
That'd be crazy. You know they're gonna push that. They're gonna promote it. You're gonna watch Raw Mondays. This Saturday night, live from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, or the T-Mobile Arena, Cinco de Mayo weekend, Canelo Alvarez and stuff like that. So, what's up, everyone? Revolution was a great show, except the main event. It was a 2 packs of ass. Let me see.
That shit is a 2-pack of ass. The fuck are you talking about? That shit stinks.
I would give it an 8 out of 10. I didn't think it was it definitely wasn't this ruins Revolution's streak where every show was good. Like was better and better than the years past. Like this one was not as good as not even close to last year's was a great show.
It was Sting's retirement.
Yeah.
16,000 people at the Greensboro Coliseum.
I mean, they did good gate-wise for this show, Staples Center.
Yeah, that too. But again, we're looking at this from great cards, right? This was, I mean, again, you had good matches, had potential, but then the main event is like scoring a goal on an open net and you miss.
Mm-hmm.
It's like winning a fight. It's like you're in a fight. You're winning all 4 rounds. You go to the last round and you get caught. You get caught or you tap out.
Yeah,
that's what it's like, bro. But to be fair, Cage Match gave the show an 8.87 out of 10. And as you all can guess, the match with the worst amount of votes is obviously Jon Moxley versus Cope and Christian Cage at a 3.25.
Yeah.
But not surprised. Outside of that, too, obviously, Mercedes Moné, Momo Watanabe, we talked about that already. Again, did not need to be on the card. I get why, though. It's Mercedes Moné. You did say this, too. You brought this up on the watch-along. She kind of missed the opportunity of, not showing up in Celtics colors, being that they were at the Staples Center.
Everyone was wearing all white. Everyone was wearing white that night, except for the main event guys. They were like it was white and black. That was the theme for this show.
It's like no one talks about this. Hey, what are you? Let's change it up a bit. No one talks about this. No one discusses it in meetings or.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they don't do production meetings. Remember, Sting main evented last year's show in his last match, and it wasn't involved the world. It was the tag titles.
He won me money that night too. Him and Darby were underdogs, and I'll bet money on that. Also, shout out to Hangman. He won me some money last night because he was an underdog entering the MJF match.
Congrats. Chris Leclerc main event suck. Yeah, for the most part. Obviously, swerving Ricochet. That was a good match. The only thing is, like, bro, a lot of near falls near the end. A lot of near falls. You thought, all right, it's over here. No, it's not. They did make you think that Nana might turn on Swerve near the end there, right? That didn't happen. But when it was all said and done, Swerve does get the win, and he is next in line. Do I see him winning? Nah. No, I don't see him winning. I hate to say it, but no, not.
Yeah, Ricochet did really well in this match, but he played the heel role really good. Like the Nana and Swerve tension in this match. Really good match between these guys.
Absolutely. Also on the show here, obviously, Kazuchika Okada versus Brody King. They went about 11 minutes for the most part. I went 9-0 at Revolution. That's what's up. I
think I just missed MJF and Hangman. I had MJF winning. He normally wins the feud openers. He doesn't lose like MJF always wins those first matches. He doesn't win the he doesn't win the feud closers. That's the thing with MJF.
Yeah. He did with Will Ospreay.
He lost to Samoa Joe in the feud closer. He lost the title.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Think about it. Samoa Joe, Will Ospreay, now Hangman Page.
And CM Punk. Chris Jericho.
That's all I can think of right now, unless
because him and Cody didn't really finish the feud. They just paused it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Cody, but still, like you said, they just paused it out of nowhere. And it was like, all right.
Wardlow, he lost the feud closer to Wardlow.
Yeah.
I guess Adam Cole's the only one that he's won. That's the only feud that MJF has really won at his time in AEW is Adam Cole.
Pretty much, yeah. I hope Swerve gets the title back. We need a proper champion back on top.
You're gonna have to wait a while there, Chief.
Yeah, it's easier said than done. But for whatever reason, Tony is literally convinced himself that Darby Allin is the perfect person to take the title off of Mox. But he has like a 46% chance of surviving Mount Everest.
Yeah,
I don't know why he's allowing this. I have no idea.
It's a thing too, because like he's trying to build up a villain that we all hate, that we don't want to win, and then when he finally loses, it gets this big cheer. It's just doing the opposite, because the problem is Mox, and SP3 has said this multiple times, and I agree with him on this. Mox has sped run what he was supposed to do as champion, because instead of being a dominant champion with the Death Riders being a dominant faction, they went from we're a dominant champion to where, oh, now all of a sudden we need to do chicken shit coward tactics to win. This guy literally tried to kill Danielson, and in the next pay-per-view, he needed help to retain in a four-way match. Like you have to set up that they're dominant, and then Mox starts getting paranoid, just like Roman started getting paranoid as the champion when he was the long-reigning Universal Champion. So that's why Roman has his cousins and everything help him retain the title. and stuff because he convinces them that because of how dominant he's been. Like they just sped run it. They just sped run this whole title run with Moxley, and now he's doing chicken shit heel tactics, but it's just not working. And then Mox's character is just it's just falling flat. Like it's just a flat character right now. Like that's the issue. It's just that if they would have made it where Mox was dominant up until like around this point in time, and then later on, like let's say Mox and Cope happens, right? And they have a really good competitive match while Mox is a dominant champion. And then that's where Mox barely escapes, like he barely wins. That's when Mox starts to get a little bit more desperate, and he starts telling the Death Riders, "You guys got to stop worrying about those trios titles. You got to make sure the title stays with me because we lose this title, we lose all our power." And stuff like that. And then you can start doing the rep bump, and then all the bad guy wrestlers come out and help Moxley because we know Mox can do this one-on-one, but because he's becoming so paranoid that someone can actually beat him, that there's people out there on his level. That's what happened with Roman. Roman started to get paranoid because there was people on his level that could actually beat him. He couldn't be as dominant all the time, so he needed help from his cousins just to win. So that's why, because that's how the Lesnar feud happened, was that he realized, oh shit, Lesnar is like the one guy that like I can actually fear. And then ever since that SummerSlam 2022 match, that's when we started with the whole rep bump, bloodline comes out, because Roman knows like there's guys that can actually beat me. I need my family to help me keep this title. And if I lose this title, guys, we're screwed. We're screwed. We lose the title, we lose everything. We lose all the power. And then that's why the rep bumps and the bloodline matches, that's why they started to go that way. But when it comes to like Mox, he literally had the belt for a month. And then they started doing the Death Riders are coming out to help out and stuff. There was no build up to like why the Death Riders are helping him out in matches when it seemed like that these are supposed to be badasses that can handle business on their own. So
Jay King Rice here. Will UFC ever get the big stars to return they had previously during 2015 to like 2021?
Up to the fighters, to be honest. It's up to the fighters. Because the problem with MMA right now is that like there's a lot more avenues for a lot of these talented individuals
to make money.
To make money. Like they don't have to necessarily do MMA. They can do jiu-jitsu, amateur wrestling, podcasting, and then also too if you're a guy coming up and you don't think you can make it in the UFC but you're somewhat athletic, screw it. Why don't you just sign up for WWE, sign a performance center contract? You're guaranteed a lot more money, and all you have to do is train. And even if it doesn't work out, hey, at least you picked up a new skill set that you can do. It's just that the UFC, they don't pay enough for a lot of these younger fighters to go out there and stuff. Like the thing with UFC and stars, it's always hard for them to make stars because they can't protect if the fighters win or lose. And the problem is they like it where, if two fighters are on the rise, they don't keep them away. They have those fighters fight each other a lot of the times. And then when one fighter loses, you don't know if that fighter can ever rebound and become a better fighter because of the loss and stuff. So it's a hard question to answer, Jogon King. Like I'm just being honest here. Whenever you ask me about it, you ask me a lot about it in DMs and stuff. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just being honest. It's not a simple, easy question to answer because it's up to individuals. Not every individual can be like a Conor McGregor that captivates millions of people and sparks a whole country to support him. Like it's up to individuals. It's not up to the UFC. The UFC literally just books fights. And the problem is if UFC books it where these guys don't fight each other, then they ruin their whole business model of what has been successful for them. Because the whole point of the UFC is that why we like it better than boxing a lot of times is that, hey, it doesn't matter what your record is or if you're a rising talent, you're going to fight the best. The best are going to fight the best a lot of the time. And if they don't fight when they're both rising up, they're definitely going to fight when one of them is champion. So it's a hard question to answer because UFC can't protect these guys because they don't want to protect these guys. But it's up to individuals to find a way to connect to the audience. This is not a UFC can solve this problem. Like, how is UFC going to solve this problem? And then what happens is when they hype someone up, they end up not doing as well when they're hyped up. They put too much pressure on the fighter too early on. Look at Paige Van Sant. Look at Sage Northcutt. Look at all these other fighters that they try to hype up in the past.
Darren Till,
another guy that has folded. So you can say, what does UFC need to do? When in reality, what do the fighters need to do to get the connection with the audience? Because the fighters are the ones that make the sport, make the company. It's not like pro wrestling where you can find a way to create a star. UFC can't just create a star. They just can't. They can hype someone up. They can do that, but it's up to the fighter to fucking win the fights. And if the fighter doesn't win the fights, that hurts them. So like when you ask me this a lot, Jogging King, I'm not trying to be disrespectful or mean to you. I'm just telling you, it's not a question for the UFC to answer. It's up to the fighters. Like that point blank period. If you ask me this again, I'm literally going. That's just literally going to be my response to you every single time, because it's the UFC can't do anything about it. They just can't. And I've said, hey, look, they need more talent. They need to find a way to get more talent to learn the sport, to make the sport better. I don't know why they don't have an NIL deal. I don't know why they don't do what WWE does with the next in line. They should definitely be targeting some college athletes that probably won't make the NFL, probably won't succeed in the sport they're in, but are athletes and can actually, bring some type of difference to the UFC. That's what I think they should do. Will that create a new star? I don't know. But at least you're getting a lot more fresher people, a lot more athletic people into your sport instead of just like a random Joe Schmo that's been training for like 5 years at a gym and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, you can ask me this a bajillion times, Jogging Keen, and my answer to you will always be the same from here on forward. It's up to the fighters. It's not up to the UFC. It's not up to them. They can only control what they can control, and what they can control is booking the fights. So
pretty much. Yeah, but overall, look, back to this Okada Brody King. For the most part, it was a good match. If you really thought Brody King was gonna win here, nah. They're waiting for that Kenny Omega Okada all in Texas for the most part.
Yeah, Okada.
We got a good showing though. Got a good showing though.
That's the match that they're gonna do. Yeah,
but Brody King had a good showing though. Good showing by Brody King. Also, yeah, the tag team title match, the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin versus the Outrunners of Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd. I like this retro 80s tag team because again, I'm a fan of nostalgia for the most part. But even I can admit, like, they were not winning the tag titles. And also, honestly, too, for being honest here, I don't think this match needed to be on the card.
I'm fine with having Lashley and Benjamin on the card, but this should have been a squash match. Like the Outrunners, they're way too late on the popularity of the Outrunners. Like, we're way too late on pushing the Outrunners to be this popular. And then two, like, why are they in a competitive match with Lashley and Benjamin? Lashley and Benjamin are supposed to be heels. The fans want to cheer them. Just make them cool tweeners. Just make it where they crush them. Like, I would have liked it if they were struggling at first because they looked down on the Outrunners. MVP hypes them up, and they remind people. They're reminded, oh yeah, we hurt people, and then they just killed the Outrunners. The fact that the Outrunners got as much offense as they did was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. But again, I like the Outrunners, but even I'll admit that, like, yeah, this should have been a squash, or if not on the card. This is like Dynamite, Collision, what have you, but that's just me, of course. Obviously, Toni Storm and Mariah May, the Hollywood ending match. I want to point this out, too. Like, this match had less time than Mercedes Moné and Momo Watanabe, which is like fine, but this should have been the main event. This should have been the closing of the show. Looking back at what we saw 24 hours ago, this should have been the main event. And they delivered. Yeah, a lot of blood, violent, right? What you want from this, right? This is the blow-off, right? I did like the let's tape our hands and put glass and start striking each other and shit for the most part. The callback with the shoe, right? From when Mariah May turned on timeless Toni Storm. But for the most part, like, yeah, also factoring in, you kind of knew going into this too, like, yo, look, they each have a win over each other, right? Mariah May won it all in. Toni Storm won at Grand Slam Australia, right? So you had to culminate this, and they delivered, hands down. One of the matches of the year. It's on the list, like I mentioned early on in the stream here. I mentioned that. But yeah, man, I'm just blown away by these two.
Yeah, no, they both of them went out there and killed it. They had a tremendous match, and like, yes, it should have been the main event. I don't know why they decided not to main event with this, but I have a feeling, like I said, because it was going to be like a death match type of match. So just them getting bloody and everything, like they didn't want that because look, Tony Khan's not an idiot. Like he's stupid, but he's not like an idiot. Like he knows people are going to just be like saying anything negative about the match and stuff. So yeah, he just wanted to avoid that type of negativity, that type of press of, oh my God, these women are getting bloody and mutilated and all that other shit. You know, like that's what he was. I understand it. I just don't agree with it.
And I think also factoring in because now they are partnered as well with Prime Video. Maybe they want to piss off the people from Prime Video. You know what I mean? So
I don't think it's that, man. Like I'm being honest, I don't think it's that at all. I think it's just. I think he was just worried about what people were going to say, but I don't think he knows his audience. I think he's worried about the outside audience. Like when people say like oh, there's no such thing as casual fans, or I think he just didn't want the backlash of like this bloody match, you know, getting shit on by just random casuals or random media outlets that pick it up and don't look at it as like, because like this happening on the middle of the card, it's kind of like, okay, these women beat each other up, it is what it is. But it's not going to be like the main focus. Like the main focus now is like, what a horrible main event. He can deal with that. That's nothing. That's like a 24-hour news cycle story. It goes away. Mariah May, Toni Storm bleeding each other in the main event. That will be a wrestling debate for at least 48 hours. And then especially if like a bigger news publication website picks it up, they'll mention it. And then that will even cause more backlash. And look, I disagree. Like I'm not saying it shouldn't have main evented. I understand why he didn't main event it. I just don't agree with why he didn't main event it. He should have just taken the risk. If you want to show why you're different than WWE, you want to show why AEW is the pure alternative to what WWE represents, this should have main evented. But he was just too much of a coward. I'll say it. Tony Khan was a coward with this one.
Yeah. And repetitive in the media scrum as well. Beautiful Mariah is too pretty to be blading herself. Not a fan of women bleeding. Just my take. That's fine. It's not everyone's cup of tea, and that's you're not wrong for that. You're not wrong.
And see that comment right there. That comment right there by Chief. That's the thing. There's going to be not just one Chief that says this. There's going to be other people that agree with Chief. And if that's the main event, people are not going to talk about like how Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher were licking each other's blood and everything like that. That's going to be the focus, is that women were bleeding and all that other stuff. And there's going to be those detractors that eat this shit up. They're going to eat it up. That, oh my God, the AEW is too violent. How can you main event with this violence? They're going to whine about it. And that to him is way worse than people saying a match was bad. Because you're going to be all like, well, it's subjective if you thought the match was bad, because I thought the match was really, really great. When he gets asked about why did you have two women go out there and kill each other in the main event, they were bleeding and stuff like that. What he can't control the narrative. He can't control that these two women did that. That's the problem with Tony Khan. He was a coward. He should have main evented with this. But there are many people like Chief who don't like death matches or like the fact that women cut themselves open and bleed. But if you really want to show that you are a different product and that you believe in the message that AEW represents, this should have been invented. But Tony Khan doesn't believe in the message AEW says. So when Tony Khan doesn't believe in it, why should I believe in it? And that's just how it went. That's just how it went. Tony Khan was too much of a coward to have this main event. He was afraid of the backlash from the online people, from the people who don't watch AEW. Because see, we're scrolling the timeline. How many people are talking about how much they hate this match or that they're bleeding? How many of the usual AEW detractor accounts have picked this up and talked about it?
Oh, it was crazy, bro.
No, but how much? No, how much have you seen?
A lot of like a good. I would say about a good 20,
Yeah,
right?
but it's not as big as if this was the main event.
Yeah. If this was main event, bro, you would see everybody,
Yeah,
everyone that you can think of.
it would be a huge debate. Because look at remember when Danielson got killed? That was a huge debate for like 3 days.
They put a bag over his face. What the
Yeah,
hell?
yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, people need to understand what I'm trying to say is like Tony Khan, he didn't main event it because he's a coward, but mainly because like he just doesn't want the backlash from other people. When Tony Khan acts like he doesn't care about what people from the outside are saying, he does care. He does.
Care. He does care, absolutely. Just a fat racer. Tony Storm versus Mariah May Hollywood ending match. The real main event was fucking awesome. It's a pure cinema. Weston right here. The most over thing for me was the Rizzler.
He was over in the pre-show.
Yeah, so I've heard. What else happened here? Obviously, yeah, Kenny Omega, Konosuke Takeshita for the International Championship. It had a slow pace, considering also the story here that, Kenny lost twice to this guy, right? Lost twice to him already. At All In that 6-person tag, and now we factor in here at all out as well, right? In that 1-on-1. So it's like for Kenny, he's like, all right, let's see if you can beat me again. And again, it was a a slow pace, but then it really picked up, right? It really picked up. Don Callis on commentary. And again, just a very good pace. It felt like old Kenny New Japan near the end there with the way they were going, and there are moments where I thought, hey, Konosuke might win this, right? There are moments where you could make he might have a chance here. And no, Kenny was all said and done, got the win. And now he's the international champion. And we're off to the races for All In Texas, likely title unification. And I hope they do that because honestly, we don't need it. We don't need the continental title. It's not needed in my eyes. But that's
keep the idea of the Continental Classic. Like, that's fine if you want to do that as like a tournament. But yeah, we don't need just have it where it's a belt that gets awarded to the winner of the tournament every year. But they don't like how the Owen Hart gets a belt. Yeah, just make the Continental that we don't need
Well, you know what? Make the winner get a world title. The winner gets a world title match.
Yeah, world title match, champion. That works. Champion of their choosing, world title match. Yeah, because that's way better than this belt. Because the belt is just it was supposed to represent from my understanding, the belt was supposed to represent unity in professional wrestling. That it was going to be the first modern Triple Crown. As it was going to be the Ring of Honor champion, the Continental champion, and the strong champion. Yes. And then that whole idea went away, and I still don't have an answer why it went away. Why a
year later it went away. A year later,
Okada won the belt, and it was just he didn't want the strong title. Eddie Kingston still kept the other 2 belts, but that's my thing. Where it's just I thought this was supposed to represent a true Triple Crown in professional wrestling. That was the idea of it. He talked about this. This is stuff that he said in the media. I'm not making this up. Tony Khan said that they're going to carry all 3 belts. This belt's going to represent all 3 titles. And then that idea just got dropped, and now it's just another mid-card belt that doesn't separate itself from the other mid-card belts. The same people that challenge for the international title challenge for that continental title, the same TNT title, you got to find a way to separate what these mid-card titles represent and stuff, because it's kind of rough.
I'm fine with the women. I'm fine with the women blading. It just happens all the time to the point where I don't care. I'd rather see the wrestlers, what these wrestlers can do in a straight up wrestling match. That's in all this extra stuff. It's fair to say the Rizzler proved the AEW is lacking characters because they have guys and women that can go. But think about an 8-year-old got me to watch Revolution. An 8-year-old kid got you to watch, but not Will Ospreay and Fletcher or right. Hey, that's fine. I don't like the idea of having a tournament that then the current champ gives up the belt for set tournament. Why keep the belt around? Makes no sense. Like, again, like back in the day, we were all under the impression that it was supposed to be a unity thing, right? All 3 belts, and now, it wasn't the case this year. But let's move on here. Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, they had their cage match. For the most part, it was a good, crazy match. That Spanish fly from the top of the cage, crazy shit. They were both bleeding, and they were licking each other's blood and all that stuff. And they both wore white. Well, kind of, right? They both Ospreay wore white, and Fletcher wore the kick pads from a previous match that he wanted to bleed up even more and all that stuff. And look, this doesn't take anything away from Kyle Fletcher at all. Kyle Fletcher has potential to be a big star down the road. Where does Ospreay go from here? In your opinion, Chase?
That's interesting. I don't know where she goes. I'm being dead honest. I really don't know.
I'm thinking, like, where does he go from here? Like, all right, because we know Swerve is going to be occupied in that world title scene as a contender, right? Where do we go? Where do we go from here with Ospreay? I mean, that's the thing. I don't know where we go from here, because I'll be honest. I don't want to see them go at it again. They were 1-1. Remember, Kyle Fletcher won at Full Gear, right? And then Ospreay beat him in the Continental Classic. So now from here, like, all right, this was the third match. Where do we go from here? I have no idea. I will still maintain, this is from Roman. I still maintain Ospreay's beating Max at All In, not no damn Darby Allin. I wouldn't mind that. Look, at this point, if Darby is convinced he wants to climb Mount Everest and all that stuff, Tony should honestly pull the plug on that idea. But what do we know? I hope Ospreay is a good. I hope Ospreay is a good seller, bro. Taking years off his life with those stunts. Hope the hip is okay. Yeah, I hope so too. But overall, it was a very good cage match for the most part. And then we got the ending, Rob. We talked about that already. Mox and Cope, just a shit show. Just a fucking shit show for the most part. But overall, cool. It was good. Again, the show overall wasn't bad. You saw celebrities that were in the building, right? I know people were kind of like, oh my God. And I said this too. Damaris Lewis did kind of expose the business. Again, at the same time, I must understand too, she's not a wrestling person, but at the same time, you were in a wrestling movie where should have been like talked or told, hey, back in the day, we try to protect the business. We don't say stuff like this, but what do I know, right? What do I know? I prefer Darby Allin to win. Well, you better hope he survives Mount Everest.
Yeah, that's a problem. We're waiting for a guy that is on vacation pretty much, and
he's training to climb Mount Everest.
Yeah, no, but like he's doing a vacation pretty much. Like I don't know. It's we just got someone has to sit this guy down. Like someone has to sit Tony Khan down and tell him like you got to learn to pivot.
That's the thing too. Like I feel like that's they should, and I want to believe someone should have pitched them. Hey, look, Mox and Cope, not the way to go. But I think also factoring in, people are just worried they might get sent home. You know what I mean? Just get sent home and not be heard from again and shit. Maybe that's probably the situation too. But guys, why would
it get sent home?
Because again, you don't want to question Tony Khan. The moment you question him or criticize him, any small little thing, Tony gets all sensitive about it and starts sending people home or not use them and shit. There's people, especially people who are, I guess, involved also with the creative. Even though we all know Tony is the one who has the final say, and all that stuff. But yeah. Imagine if we worked in, we criticized Tony. Hey, Tony, honestly, we should do this instead. Send me home. He just comes off like that kind of guy.
Okay. You have to preface that because like the way
he just comes off. He comes off as that. He's like that guy. Like you, one little criticism, I'm sending you home, buddy. But outside of that, guys, if you have questions for us too, try them in your questions as we wait for Walter, because we are going to provide you.
No, I think we should skip it. Steve, it's almost 30 minutes till Raw. There's no way we're getting through 2 matches on 30 minutes. So we can just do it. I was hoping to get it done, but
yeah. I'll let him know. I'll let him know. Yeah, bro. No worries, man. We'll just do the 2 matches on Thursday.
Yeah, because I thought he was going to come at 7.
Yeah, me too. But it happened. Look, man. Our original plan was to provide you 2 matches from ATP Gaming. But it is what it is. Because also Raw's in about 29 minutes. I want to just rapid fire these couple of things here. So I did watch SmackDown on Friday for the most part. We did see that performance of Bianca Belair and Naomi, where Naomi finally admitted it was her all along. It was her. She was the one who attacked Jade Cargill, right? And I love just the segment as far as their expressions, right? How Naomi was literally in tears saying, Jade is holding you back. I did it for you. You deserve more. And then all that went from Bianca, you're being a straight up bitch right now. Started say I should have did this a long time ago. And then Jade comes out. You see her pull up in the parking lot with her car. She shows up and she just attacks Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up attacks her. Now, this could probably lead to, I would hope, obviously leads to a match. Would you be down with that idea at WrestleMania, Naomi versus Jade Cargill at WrestleMania?
I think it has enough legs to be a WrestleMania match. Yeah. Why wouldn't I be down for it? I mean, you got to get Jade somewhat on this card, right? Like, why would you bring her back? Why would you bring her back? I think that's a good match. I trust Naomi to, I trust Naomi to tell a story with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would too. So that's likely the scenario, but let's hope so. But I enjoyed it for the most part. Chase, what about you?
Oh yeah, no, it was tremendously well done. It was great action, great. Why wouldn't I like it?
Okay, there's some people. Oh man, this is too funny. This is too that. So I just
no, it was good. It was good. It also still has intrigue. Like, who knows? Maybe Bianca. She tells. She tells. Like, there's still a lot of questions to be. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I still think that Bianca's still a part of this somehow. Like, I don't think she's out of the woods just yet. Like, she may play this brave face. So
that's who. You guys hear about Jade having heat backstage that happened months ago? Look, if it happened months ago, why is it being brought up now? So yeah, so I could tell you about that one. I know what you're talking about, but I mean, again, it sounds silly now when you think about it. It sounds silly as all hell. I know I come off like an AEW hater, but they do have wrestlers I like and want to get invested in, like Darby Allin, Daniel Garcia, Wardlow, Hangman Page, MJF, Hobbs. They just need more characters to them. Yeah, pretty much for the most part. Also, Cody did speak after being attacked by John Cena. What's your take on that promo set? By Cody, Chase?
It was a standard Cody Rhodes promo. I'm pretty sure we're gonna hear the same thing. Like, it was just enough. Like, it wasn't anything groundbreaking. It was just it's just like, hey, I gotta answer. I gotta say something and stuff. I'm gonna be on TV.
I like the fact that Cody he came out there, he was serious. None of this, like I was expecting. But I do know that Cena will be on the European tour. I know they're in Barcelona this Friday coming up. I think after that they're in Belgium. So soon, I look forward to seeing this promo battle between Cena and Cody. I look forward to seeing it for the most part, and when that happens, we'll see. We'll see where we'll see where Cody stands, because we all know Cena on the mic, when he wants to go off, he'll go off. So there's that too. If you guys have a question for us, feel free to drop in your questions in the live chat. I did not catch the 0 hour. I did not get to catch it live, but I do know some of the results Well, the result for mostly everything here, obviously. Hologram and Commander did beat Blake Christian and Lee Johnson in a tag team match. Daniel Garcia with the Undisputed Kingdom defeated Shane Taylor Promotions. Not surprised. And obviously, Big Boom AJ and the conglomeration of Mark Briscoe and Orange Cassidy defeated Johnny TV and the XMX Collection.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know this too, but both Big Boom AJ, the Rizzler, and Big Justice are all signed to AEW.
Yeah,
they're all signed the deals. You know, we watching Raw like a family, man. Wow.
What?
That's what Roman's asking. Yeah,
watching Raw as a family. Oh man, dude, we gotta. Can Netflix even screen share?
Yeah, I can make it work.
If it screen shares, then yeah, because I'm not trying to watch it on 5 different feeds.
I can make it work. I have.
Make sure you set that VPN.
No. Don't need to send no VPN.
No, put it on Europe so we don't have to watch the commercials. What are you talking about?
Oh, how about that? But we watch on way up for sure. Other than that, guys, look, we were supposed to provide you guys ATP Gaming, 2 matches from ATP Gaming, but it's not gonna happen. But Thursday, speaking of which, this Thursday, I need you all to tune in for let's see, here it is. Night 2 of Gangamania, night number 2. It goes down this Thursday. So make sure you tune in for that one. We'll be back live tomorrow with the Raw Rundown, where we'll talk about all the stuff that went down on tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw, live from Madison Square Garden, where we're going to see CM Punk versus Seth Rollins inside of a steel cage.
Yeah, most likely the return of the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns tonight.
Can't wait, guys. Much love to all of you guys for tuning in. Much love. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button down below. Give a big old thumbs up. Share it through social media with all your friends and loved ones. Trading in my sewer for a briefcase on Thursday. We shall see. Could very well be. Absolutely. But much love to all of you guys. If you have not, again, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on X at Heel Steven Chase. Let them know where can they check you out.
Yeah, you can follow me on X at ChaseOliver68.
That's going to be it for us, guys. Much love to all of you. Thank you all for tuning in. For myself, for Chase, and for the gang, this has been another live edition of Steve's Kitchen here on the Around the Point Network.
Listen. Fuck up. Get out.